Hello everyone and welcome back to another Star Wars Galaxy Heroes video and to my first ever State of My Account episode. Hopefully on screen right now is a scroll through of the overview of both my Jammax and solo accounts, so you can see where I currently stand to this day on both of them. This will probably be a bit longer video than I would usually make this type of video, just so I can give you all a general insight into what my accounts actually look like and how long I've been playing and so on. So to start off with, I started playing this game in March 2016. I was several months after the initial launch date of the game. So the game launched in November 2015. Obviously, I came into the game March 2016, and I played this game very casually up until around 2018, I want to say. And within that first 2 years of me playing, I had a 6 to 8 month break. I don't know how long exactly it was, but I know I definitely took quite a significant amount of break because when I first started playing this game I was at uni, and I just remember having to drop the game for a bit just to focus on my uni work. So when I came back in 2018, I started playing the game a bit more competitively. I moved guilds into the current guild, alliance that I'm in at the moment, and I've been there ever since. And I did start spending money on the game, so I was free to play up to that point. I wasn't spending crazy amounts of money that I know a lot of people have put into this game, but I've definitely spent quite a significant amount, but not huge amounts if you kind of like break it down. And that went on up until 2020, until I was had a change of circumstances due to COVID, so I didn't stop spending again, and I haven't spent anything on the game since. So I've been free to play for most of my time playing this game, but I cannot claim to be completely free to play because that is obviously false, because I have spent money on the game before on both my accounts. So that is where I currently stand in terms of my current playstyle. Used to spend up until 2020, and I haven't spent a penny since the end of 2020, so almost 2 years and a bit, I suppose. So that does mean I have been able to keep up with the meta, I suppose, by spending that bit of money that I did, because obviously with the break that I took, I did need to catch up a little bit. This is one of those games that kind of punishes you if you don't keep up. Well, it used to, at least, with the way the game ran with like Squad Arena and things, where most of the crystals were. You had to keep up, otherwise, because if you fell behind, you wouldn't get the daily income from crystals. So that is the only unfortunate thing. And I have been working endlessly on my mods, and I do grind this game quite a bit now, obviously because I do upload to YouTube, so I do tend to put a lot of time into the game. I don't unfortunately do any of the arenas anymore. I don't do Fleet Arena. I used to do Fleet Arena up until about a year ago, but whenever Executor came out, basically I stopped doing Fleet Arena because I just didn't have the time essentially to spend an hour each day climbing up Fleet Arenas, because both my Fleet Arenas are quite busy, and it just wasn't fun basically, so I stopped doing that. So essentially the only crystal income I get is from guild events and through Grand Arena, and obviously the daily crystals and stuff that we get from doing daily activities and from Grand Arena ranking. So that is essentially where I stand at the moment. So I'm going to quickly and hopefully briefly go over both my accounts and what I'm farming, and what my accounts both look like in terms of relics and Datacrons and things. So it should give you all an idea of how my accounts actually look for any future videos come out, so you can actually see, maybe remember what relics I have and things, what I'm using, and blah blah blah. So let's just jump straight into the next part of the video. So first off, I thought I'd go over my solo account, considering that is the main account that I tend to use and is the one that I do all my Grand Arena videos for and things, so I just felt like it was appropriate to start off with first. So I'll quickly go over what I'm farming, and my current farm priorities are doing Jabba tickets. So I've been farming dark side nodes, doing 3x50 or normal energy refreshes in order to maximize my amount of tickets that I'm getting. I have slightly slowed down my farm for Jabba in that I am farming BT1 again, because after Jabba I'm hopefully going to be going after Dr. Aphra, but we are still waiting for Sanastaros to go on to a farmable node. I'm really hoping that she goes onto a Cantina node just to speed up the process a little bit, because it is going to be a while otherwise until I get Dr. Aphra, because hard nodes, as you can see, do take a long time, considering that I've been doing at least 10 battles a day on 000 since he went farmable. When he went farmable, was it before Christmas? I can't remember. And so that's been a very long time, and I'm not even at 6 stars yet, so I don't spend any of my crystals on shards or anything like that. The only times I actually spend crystals on shards is for ships, but even then I don't go too overboard, because obviously my crystal income is not as good as it used to be. So as you can see, we also have Hondo and Canderous there. Hondo, I've been working at relics wise, getting him to relic 7 just so I can use the Hondocron that I've got, which we'll go over in a second. I did give him his Omicron as well because I just think that I'm going to be using Hondo quite a lot. Considering that I am in an alliance called the Pirate Alliance, it does make sense for me to have a good Hondo, I think, and make the most of him. Canderous is also there because he is on the list to go to relic 7, because I also have a Candycron, I like to call it. So I'm hoping to use that with like a Mordo's team in 5v5, or just find his scoundrels. Maybe even like an Old Republic team. He could fit into an Old Republic team on 5v5 just to see how that would do. But he's one of those characters that I wanted to relic 7 anyway, because I do have Karth Omicron on this account. So he will need to go up to relic 7 to be used in TB anyway. So that is the plan. Sortie is on my list. She has been on my favourites list for absolutely ages. She just keeps getting pushed back. One of those ones that I've wanted to do so I could run her with T3 and IG88, which I'm hoping to build a Datacron for when the next conquest comes around. So she will probably get a relic at some point. She just requires quite a significant chunk of gear 12 gear. Unfortunately, she requires 3 furnaces for the whole of her right side in gear 12. So I've just been saving those gear pieces essentially just in case I can get to relic levels with 000 or BT1, and they might require a furnace. I haven't actually checked their gear levels yet. But if they don't, I might actually just relic Sortie. So we shall see. And then, of course, obviously the other 3 are just waiting for Dr. Aphra stuff. In regards to my actual roster, though, I do not have many relic lines. I only have 1 to be precise on both. Well, actually, no, I don't have a single relic line on my Jammax account. I only have 1 relic line across both of them, and that is, of course, Radus for Profundity. Most things that I do want to take to relic 9 are currently sat at relic 8. So JML, for example, I would like to take to relic 9, but the investment it requires for the higher relics, especially relic 8 and relic 9, is just quite a lot for anyone that plays this game free to play. So what I've tried to do is just broaden out my roster, and I'm just trying to get things to relic 5, and those ones that need to specifically be relic 7 for Datacrons, I'm bumping them up rather than going for relic 9s and relic 8s, and then kind of supplementing the lower relic levels with Datacrons, if that makes any sense. But that's kind of how I'm approaching things, because as you may have seen in some of my grand arenas, we do come up against people that have crazy amount of relic 8s and 9s, and I'm just sat here with relic 7s and relic 5s and relic 3s and nothing too fancy. We do have Grand Inquisitor, and I'll go over Omicrons at the same time. I think that make the most sense. So Radus is kind of like a staple one. You do give him his Omicron if you want to make the most out of your Profundity, especially for a lower star like I do. It does give extra speed by giving the Omicron, and it's still very good anyway. We do have Grand Inquisitor, like I just mentioned. Got him last time around. We've got Wampa. Wampa is basically a staple Omicron for Grand Arena. Nothing much to say there. He solos a lot of teams. Very good banners. There's Starkiller, of course, and Ben Solo. Both got their Omicrons. Pretty staple as well. Especially if you've got Ray for Ben. I wouldn't worry about too much about his Omicrons if you don't have Ray. Zam's got her Omicron. Also a great one for bounty hunters. Dash is kind of coming back into play now since his Datacron isn't here, because with his Datacron he wasn't really used in the lead slot, because you tend to use him with Ray or someone as a 5th, or just not in the lead slot essentially, so you didn't get the use out of the Omicron. But I'm kind of hoping I'll get you some more use out of Dash's Omicron with Hondo. That is the plan at least, but I don't know how that will play out, but we'll obviously see when we go into the future Grand Arenas. Then we have a Relic 5 Malgus. Didn't take him any higher than Relic 5 because I never got the Datacron for Malgus, so I just left him at Relic 5 so I could use him with a decent Datacron, but nothing super crazy. So that's why he is remaining there. He's done more than good enough at Relic 5 for me. seems to draw out the GLs like he normally would anyway, with his Omicrons applied. Well, only one in this case, which is his lead. And he does his job very well. Traya is obviously fairly new and most likely about to get nerfed against GLs, which is kind of fair enough, I think, because I'm beating like really high relic Lord Vaders and stuff, all R9s across the board, with my relic 3 and obviously relic 4 Traya here, which shouldn't really be happening. I imagine that CG will probably give Traya the Qui-Gon Jinn nerf that he got, with obviously it being excluded from Galactic Legends, which I think would be fair enough, but I mean, I kind of hope it doesn't, because it is a lot of fun to use. Also, one of those things that I wouldn't be blaming anyone for if it did. And then we got Chrysanthemum. I recently applied this because I got Jabba. I was waiting to give Chrysanthemum his Omicron when we got Jabba, because it just didn't really make sense for me to give it to him beforehand. And this is probably going to be used on defense quite a lot with Jabba and obviously the Hutt Cartel. We don't have Relic 7 Inquisitors yet. I've just been prioritizing other relics. So we will obviously try and get them up to Relic 7 when I can afford to obviously help my guild get some more Reaver shards. I am Reaver ready on my Jammax account, which you'll see. Sarge got her Omicron as well. I do think this isn't a great Omicron, because most of the time Night Sisters tend to get split up, so you don't really use Night Sisters on any teams essentially, basically, because normally Daka and Zombie are pulled out to go with like SLK or C or someone else that requires them to be used, where you just need that constant annoying zombie to keep retaunting and getting in the way. But I do think with the new Admiral Trench that we're getting, that Asajj may come into more use. Her Omicron is more based around Night Sisters and that it gives them extra stats, but there are some nice things about Asajj gaining some more extra bonuses for herself, and a healing immunity on AoE, and reducing max health and defense, which I think is going to become really important. So that might actually prove to be quite useful when we get Trench, but we'll obviously not see that until the end of the next set of conquests. Then use all the other relics. I don't think I got Savage, of course. Savage is kind of a staple of Grand Arena now. I think there are 3 kind of top Omicrons for Grand Arena, in my opinion, and that would probably be Savage, Wampa, and Malgus in that order. And the only reason I'd give Savage the top spot is because he actually has viability on defense. He has a lot of solo viability, not as much as Wampa on offense, but the fact that you can actually pick and choose whether you want to put him on offense or defense, I think just overrides Wampa in terms of how valuable an Omicron is in that sense. So I definitely think Savage is probably at the top of my list in terms of Grand Arena Omicrons. And we've got Karth. Is my only TB Omicron in this. I do not have any Territory Wars Omicrons on either of my accounts, because I just don't like Territory Wars, and my guild just doesn't care about Territory Wars, so we're not too fussed about giving Territory War Omicrons, because I just don't really see the value in them, and I just hate that game mode. I just really don't like it at all. So the Omicrons that I have, they're either Grand Arena mainly or Territory Battles. I do have more Territory Battle ones on my Jammax account. This is one I do have on my solo account now. I was using Old Republic in Geonosis. I do actually have some footage that I never released. I don't know whether anyone would actually be interested in seeing some footage of Karth in the Geonosis Territory Battles. I have been using him in the new one in the middle with Canderous, and it's been absolutely brilliant, but the light side version for Geo was not as good. I definitely know I have some 4 out of 4 footage from GOTB that I could show. So if you would like to see that, obviously let me know down in the comments. I can definitely release that at some point if there is enough interest out there. See, with Geo being quite an old format now. Then we have, I don't think we've got many more. Oh, we got First Order TIE Pilot, of course. We've been using that a lot more than we probably would have done beforehand, just because of the Phasmocrons and the First Order Datacrons that we have. Obviously not with SLK, because that's what cancels it out. But with Phasma and Hux in the lead slot, it's been absolutely brilliant. So I've been really enjoying using that. Then we've got a Relic 3 Iden with her Omicron. She's become more of an offense powerhouse as well. I don't really tend to put her on defense because you can just Wampa it. It's not very difficult to one per, and I just feel like her value on offense is just a lot more than it would be on defense, because you're essentially trading a full mana, or like 58-59 banner win by it being one perable, to essentially a full banner win on offense, which I think is far more valuable than what she would give you on defense. Even at high relics, I just find that she's a lot better on offense. Can beat a lot of very good teams. Then we've got Qui-Gon Jinns. Of course, that was the first ever Omicron I gave on both my accounts. And then I obviously got the nerf treatment through the Galactic Legend clause thing. But it's still very good, Omicron. And I just put him on defense all the time. I don't think I've ever used him on offense, maybe once or twice. But I just find that he is able to get me a few holds with the modding and things. And yeah, I just don't see the reason to take him off. I might take him off just so I can actually try him out, but I don't think I'm going to anytime soon. And then the rest of the stuff down here is basically just things that I did for Galactic Legend requirements. And then stuff that's at gear 12, so nothing too crazy at the lower end of my roster. Obviously enough like Relic Jawas for C Pit and other things. So I'll quickly go over ships. I literally have all the ships. I've got Scythe, so I've been using Scythe quite a lot. I haven't really had much experience using it against Executor or Profanity. Probably going to be doing some practice runs just so you know what we're doing in Grand Arena. Not that I really know what I'm doing with ships most of the time anyway. But I literally have everything 7-star except Profanity that you saw at the top. I did spend some crystals to get my Profanity to 5-star just so I can unlock an extra reinforcement slot and make the Profanity a bit more viable. I just feel like the Profanity is so good at 5-star, it's not really worth me investing the crystals to actually take it all the way up to 7. So I'm just free to play farming that every month when it comes out. I might do the occasional refresh if I have enough crystals, but at the moment I'm just not really stacked up on enough crystals to be able to afford to do any more refreshes, unfortunately. That is a brief overview of ships, and now we'll just go over the Datacrons. So I have a lot of Datacrons on my solo account, and all of this has been done completely free to play. I haven't spent any money at all. I've spent some crystals on like getting credits and things, but nothing actually out of my own pocket in terms of money wise. I've been doing this all completely free to play from just Conquest mainly. I try to get Conquest done as quickly as possible. Don't worry too much about feats, well, depending on whether the feats are node specific or they're just sector specific. So I go through as quickly as possible, get the Conquest done as quickly as I can, so usually within the first week. And then for sector feats and global feats, I'll just tend to farm them on the Datacron nodes at the end of each sector. So that is how I've been able to accumulate a lot of Datacrons. So for the first set, I managed to get 5 level 9s, and then I just got a bunch of level 6s, level 5, just tried to build up as many Datacrons as I could to actually use them. Bearing in mind that quite a lot of my roster is at Relic 3, so I've just taken lots to Relic 3, not Relic 3, level 3, level 2. And then this new set, I just went all in on trying to get as many level 9s as I could, because then when the next Conquest comes around, I'm just probably going to farm a lot of Sector 1, get my credits and more Datacrons up, and then potentially build an IG-88 one, and then start to look at taking some of these Relic 3, level 3s up to level 6, just to get some Scoundrel and Droid bonuses to go with like General Grievous and CLS Rebels with Han and Chewie, and just some other fill-in Datacrons to put in my roster, and hopefully get somewhere around the same amount as what I've been getting on the Projecting Power set. But in terms of my actual usage of Datacrons down here, I don't have a lot, because I can use 4 out of these 5 in the Projecting Power. My aura is only Relic 6, unfortunately. And then down here, I was only able to use 1 up until recently. I was only using Grand Inquisitors. Obviously, I don't have Dr. Aphra yet, but I'm hoping to have her by that date at least. And then Canderous, I am planning on relicking up. I haven't been able to use his. And then Hondo, I've just taken to Relic 7. So for the next 3v3 season, which is about to launch, I'm hopefully be able to use him and be able to use him in 5v5 as well. And Second Sister is only Relic 5. And I have no plans to take her to Relic 7. So that's kind of been mainly used for stats, I suppose. Extra stats has always been quite nice on like my Galactic Legends and things. So that is more or less a general overview of my solo account, and we will now move over to my Jammax account. Okay, so now we are over onto my Jammax account. As you can see, I have quite a significant lower GP than my solo account, so I have about 600k less or so. So we do have a lot less relics on this account, and my roster is a lot underdeveloped, but I do have a lot more meme stuff on this account because it is more of my PvE focused territory battles account. So I was never really too fussed about keeping up with the meta on this account, just so I could try new things out and use the characters that I would like to use and enjoy. So as you can see from my current farm list, I do happen to have Ben Solo up there. I've recently just relicked him up, and I'm planning on taking his relics up even further because we're going to need him for platoons in TB. So I'll probably take him all the way up to relic 7, possibly even to relic 8 at some point, but relic 7 will probably do for now. Then Cad Bane's on here because I do have his Datacron on this account, and I was thinking about obviously using it and trying to get some footage of it to see how good it was. So he's on the list as well. Non-priority though, so he's just there just in case I do have the spare resources when I'm not actively farming something. So he'll go up to relic 7. And then Aurora and Tuscan Shaman are here because I recently gave the Omicron for Tuscan Raider, so I'm hopefully going to be using that in future 3v3 Grand Arenas, and I would ideally like to get both of these guys to relic 5. Obviously Aurora is required for Jabba at relic 4, so when I get him to relic 4, I might as well take him up an extra level. The same with Tuscan Shaman, taking him to relic 5 just so I can use a better Datacron. Logray's on here as well because I do have relic Ewoks on this account. We are hopefully going to be getting a full Ewok squad because I am currently using C-3PO as the 5th because he is the optimal and best 5th for Ewoks in my opinion, at least for PvP. But we are going to need Logray for TB. And it looks like we just got Ewoks required in Conquest as defeating teams 14 times. I don't know how possible that's actually going to be with relic Ewoks even at my relic levels. I'm pretty sure that's going to be a pretty tough struggle. And I do have Chirper Omicron. Then we have Hondo, Zori at BT1 and 000 on the list. I'm not actively going for Afra or Jabba or Profanity on this account. I'm just doing things that I think I will enjoy or I can get some content out of. So Zori is on this list because I would like to take her to relic level as soon as she is farmable. I have actually given Rose her Omicron to try out in Grand Arena with Zori because obviously I think that pairing is going to work quite nicely together. And Zori does look really great for a resistance squad with Finn. And if you do have Finn Omicron, I do think Zori is probably going to be worth it. But we should obviously see if we get some more footage out there. And in regards to my other roster, I mean, my JL's all relic 7 on this account. I haven't really put much effort into relics, getting them too high at least. Got some R8s, so I don't have any R9s on this account. So you have 1 per staple, 1 per relic 7. Same with Starkiller and Malgus. So I do have relic 7 on Malgus on this account because I did have the Datacron for him when he was around, the C1. I can't remember what set number it was, but we definitely had a Malgus Cron, which I built up and took him to relic 7 so I could use it. And also got Zam, of course. And then my Inquisitors on this account are all relic 7, apart from Second Sister, because I did that for Reaver Shards, so I've been farming some Reaver Shards to hopefully help out my guild get Reaver quicker. Then we do have Dash, of course, same as on my other accounts. This one's a bit of an oddball. I have a relic 7 Luminara with her Omicron, which is Grand Arena, and I've been trying to use her as effectively as possible. Haven't really come up with a good team yet for her to be used in. I kind of feel like she's going to be more a defensive team than offensive. I have been using her with Jedi mainly. Jedi Knight Luke has been standing out to me, and Emperor Palpatine Starkiller teams because you could use her as the Jedi role in that. But I do not think she's been doing as well as she probably could do. I am probably going to be sticking her on defense in 5v5 with Rey, Ben Solo, Hermit, Luminara, and probably a tank of some sort, Holdo or just another tank to take away from the others. That is the plan, at least, because her Omicron actually allows her to do a lot of healing and protection recovery, as well as providing critical avoidance, and it's just like a really good Omicron, I think, for an annoying team like that. So I might even give Ben Solo a couple of his, or just the one that causes him to revive constantly, his Omicron for that, because at the moment he is currently just Zated, doesn't have any Omicrons, and I do feel like that's probably a lot easier to beat at the moment if I didn't give him an Omicron. Then we have pretty standard stuff. I do have a Relic Omega. I don't have a Relic Omega on my solo account because I never really felt the need to actually gear up, because you can use Bad Batch as a 4-man quite easily. But I wanted to test out the Omega Omicron, which is for TB. So you may have seen my video on my channel to do with that, where I think Arnold highlighted me in one of his descriptions, just showcasing my video, because I tried Omega against the Reek for cam shards in GOTB, and it's proven to be brilliant in the new TB, but obviously I don't have Bad Batch high enough relic to actually do any of the further planets like Bracca or Kashyyyk, because my Bad Batch is only relic 5. So we're probably going to be investing into that team, seeing what we could do with all our TB Omicrons in the new TB and see how they get on there. I don't have Trey Omicron here. There's quite a few other Omicrons that I have on here that I don't have on solo. Obviously I've got Qui-Gon on solo as well. Here's my Finn Omicron. I've got quite a few Omicrons here now. So Finn's obviously for TB as well. Really enjoyed using him in GOTB. I feel like he's going to be really important in the new TB. But to take his relic and his teams up to relic 7 or even further than that, it's kind of painful to think about. I really don't want to take like normal Poe Dameron up to relic 7. That kind of hurts. But if Zori can make the team a lot better, it probably might be worth it. So we'll obviously see when she goes farmable. And that's the reason why I've given Rose her Omicron, just so I can have a bit of fun and try and use her on offense, see what we could do with her and actually use her, because at the moment she is literally just sitting there as Rancor food. So we're going to try and make uses of Rose on the 3v3 and 5v5 format in Grand Arena. Then we've got Kyle, which is a Jedi, well, I suppose a Jedi and Rebel Fighter Omicron for TB. And I used him in the Jedi mission on Coruscant, just to try and see if I can get a non-Galactic Legend team working. And I managed to get a team working with both Kyle Katarn's Omicron and a team without any Omicrons or Galactic Legends. So that video, if it hasn't come out already, will be coming out soon, within the next couple of days. Then First Lord Type Arts, again, pretty staple. I have that on my other account, I read it 5. And then this one's what I just recently applied, giving Tusken Raider his Omicron to try and utilize on offense. So we're going to be not putting on defense and try and see if we can take out some funny teams on offense and get some nice footage. Then Chief Chirper. This is probably one of my passion projects has always been Ewoks. So as you saw earlier, I did relic them up. I didn't take low grade relics because I didn't think that we needed a full team. We could have just used C-3PO, but I'm kind of at a point where I would like to use C-3PO with other teams, so I'm just working on low grade. And Chirper, who doesn't get used a lot. Most of the time he's just used a cleanup, and even then he doesn't normally do a good job. So maybe I need to bump my relics up on my Ewoks to get a better use out of them. And I also have Relic Phoenix on this account because I kind of predicted that they were going to be required for the new TB. Obviously I wasn't expecting them all to be required at Relic 8, so that is a long way off, but at least we've got a full team's worth at Relic level. The only one I'm missing is Chopper, who's currently sat at Gear 11. And then I think that's pretty much it, other than Iden, who's a low gear Omicron that I have on this account. So I will quickly just show you my ships, and then we'll go through and go over the Datacrons I have on this account. The ships wise, I have everything like I do on solo, except I do not have Profanity unlocked. I do not plan on getting Profanity anytime soon, just because of the stuff that I want to do beforehand. Obviously, when we get some free time and we've done all the fun things that I wanted to do, I probably will just go for Profanity, just to get him out of the way and try and get a meta fleet on the board. But nothing too special to talk about here, so we'll just jump straight into the Datacron section, which is where you're going to see a lot less Datacrons than I have on my solo account. That's just literally because my Jammax count is a lot less developed than solo, and I don't really have a lot of the characters, especially for the new set, at the required relic level or even at relics. So for the first set, I do have the Phasma and SWGOH. They're very similar to what I have in my solo, but I do have CAD instead. And then what I did, because I wasn't really too sure whether I need to actually build anything else for the rest of the set, at least for a level 9, I went and made a bunch of one level 6 and then a bunch of level 5s, and then rolled all the rest to level 3s, just so I can get a good broad selection for Datacron usage in Grand Arena and Territory Wars, of course. And then for the second set, I can actually use both of these, but I would ideally like to change that 8th brother to probably Second Sister, because Second Sister is kind of really the only one left out in a 5v5 format. But I suppose I could take 8th brother out instead and try him elsewhere with like LV or something maybe. But we'll obviously see when we get to 5v5 season. That's kind of really the general overview of both my accounts. I do hope you've enjoyed that and you've got a good insight into what both my accounts are like and what I'm working on and what relic levels I have. Because I feel like a lot of you may have been in the dark about a lot of that stuff. So if you have enjoyed the video, like and comment is always much appreciated, and don't forget to hit that sub button down below, and I shall catch you in the next one.